Living near snowy plains offers unparalleled opportunities for hiking and skiing, activities ranked among the top 10 sports worldwide that one can enjoy at no cost. While the allure of these icy landscapes is undeniable, they also pose significant risks. In this video, we delve into the stories of 5 individuals who, amidst the beauty of these frosty terrains, tragically lost their lives to hypothermia. Join us as we explore how these adventures in seemingly idyllic settings led to unexpected and heart-rending outcomes. Gigi Wu, age 36, was popularly known as the Bikini Hiker. She had gained fame for her unique approach to hiking. She would climb mountains and then pose for pictures in a bikini. This daring choice of attire brought her a lot of attention online, both in Taiwan and internationally. Over a 4-year span, she completed more than 100 hikes and posed in 97 different bikinis, a challenge that started due to losing a bet with a friend. The bet was simple yet unusual. If she lost, she had to take a photo in a bikini on a mountaintop. So what started as a playful punishment turned into her trademark. Unfortunately, her last adventure proved fatal, ending her impressive streak of mountain climbs. Gigi Wu entered Taiwan's Yushan National Park on January 11, 2019. She was attempting a 25-day hike from Nanhua Mountain to Mount Choshi, a trek she announced on Facebook on December 24, 2018 of the previous year. She spent an astonishing 127 days hiking up mountains. That's more than a third of the year spent on trails. While it might seem reckless at first glance, Gigi was actually very cautious. She would normally hike in proper attire and only switch to a bikini once she reached the summit. Despite her playful online persona, she was a seasoned hiker who always used the right equipment and followed safety protocols during her hikes. On another occasion, she shared a photo on Facebook showing her legs covered in cuts and bruises from a previous fall, highlighting the risks involved in her adventures. Tragically, during her 25-day hiking adventure in Taiwan's Yushan National Park, Gigi fell into a ravine. The fall was severe as she dropped between 20 to 30 meters, and this caused a leg injury. She used a satellite phone to call for help. The rescue operation started almost immediately. The National Airborne Service Corps faced a tough challenge in their efforts to rescue Gigi Wu. Despite deploying Black Hawk helicopters on 3 different occasions, they couldn't reach her due to poor weather conditions. With the helicopters unable to assist, the Nantou County Fire Department took on the task by foot, embarking on a grueling 28-hour trek through dangerous terrain. Sadly, by the time the rescuers arrived, they discovered Wu's lifeless body. She had succumbed to hypothermia in the freezing temperatures overnight. Her body was later airlifted from the accident site. The location where Wu's body was found was near the spot she had sent out a distress call. The Nantou Fire Service concluded that she had become trapped due to her fall and ultimately died from the cold. Following her death, her fans poured out their grief on her Instagram and Facebook pages, leaving numerous tributes expressing their sorrow and admiration. One poignant message captured the sentiments of many, from one fellow hiker to another. May you spend eternity scaling heavenly mountains. A tribute that reflects the deep connection and respect her followers felt for her adventurous spirit. The second case took place in the Hardanger Vita, a region known as the Hardanger Plateau. This place is renowned for its stunning beauty, but its name contains the word danger, maybe hinting at the risks it holds. Peter Wilson and his father Rupert Wilson had set out on a snowy mountain adventure, joined by Jim Ross. Rupert and Jim, both former Army colleagues, worked together at LifeScan in Inverness, a company known for producing self-testing diabetes kits. Peter, who was taking a gap year before his planned enlistment in the Army, also worked there before the tragedy unfolded. All three were not only enthusiastic but also experienced skiers. This is why their friends were shocked to learn that such seasoned adventurers had apparently underestimated the dangers of the Hardanger Vidda. The trio decided to embark on a ski journey from Finns to a cabin at Gjeldabu, 17 miles away, expecting it to take around 10 hours. They had set out on Friday, wearing only light clothing and without the essential gear for such a trek, notably lacking a spade to dig a snow hole for emergency shelter. As they began their journey, two experienced Norwegian skiers, Aslak Bratveit and Christian Arslan, passed them. The Norwegians were well prepared, carrying heavy gear suited for the harsh conditions. They were surprised to see the British trio so lightly equipped and with minimal provisions. The trio's choice of skis were also a concern. One had skis meant for well-trodden paths, while the others were on mountain skis, which was not ideal given the weather conditions. Mr. Bratveit later expressed his concerns in a newspaper interview, saying, "We never thought they'd try to keep going. With the sort of weather we were having, we didn't imagine that they would try to continue. They should have turned back, and we, of course, regret that we didn't more or less force them to do so." When Rupert, Jim, and Peter left Vince, the weather was initially clear, but conditions rapidly deteriorated into a blizzard just a few hours into their journey on Friday. Police Superintendent Svein Broroy described the conditions as extremely harsh, saying the weather was really bad. This is a 1,200-meter mountain, and that evening it was raining. It was 1 or 2 degrees and windy. Prior to their departure, the Norwegian Trekking Association, or NTA, had advised the group against undertaking the trip due to the impending bad weather. Marit Haberstad from the NTA recalled warning them. "The 3 men came to our office in Bergen, but they were warned not to go on this route because of the harsh weather that was coming. They also had information that a tour we were planning to run from the same area on Friday had been canceled because of the bad weather." Despite these warnings, the trio proceeded underprepared for the conditions they faced. They lacked the appropriate clothing and did not have a spade, an essential tool for creating a snow shelter in emergency situations. Despite clear warnings about the impending storm, the group set out on their journey, but soon found themselves in the midst of a fierce blizzard. To make their trek easier, they left a rucksack in a snow shelter they built for temporary relief. The next day, they pressed on, but the harsh cold and freezing rain overwhelmed them, forcing them to seek refuge behind a rock, huddled in their sleeping bags for warmth. Sadly, that afternoon, one member of their party passed away, and another succumbed to the elements the following day. With both his colleague and son dead, Rupert Wilson attempted a desperate trek back to safety, but had to turn back when his ski chute broke. It was a stroke of luck that Rupert was eventually found. The weather continued to be severe, making it impossible to send an air ambulance. Instead, rescuers had to wrap Mr. Wilson in a rug and transport him to safety on a snowmobile. Back home, Peter's mother, Kirsty Wilson, struggled with the reality of their holiday-turned disaster. "It is hard to comprehend that my husband and son only went on holiday and were due back on Friday, and now my son won't be coming back," she expressed, still in shock. She remembered Peter as a wonderful boy, praised for his involvement with the local youth club, and deeply missed by his community. She gratefully acknowledged the support from the people of Norway and the vital assistance of the Red Cross, who saved her husband's life. Rupert, who survived, claims that the group was advised against going, but was merely informed about the weather, and that they had also appropriately packed, as against what observers believe was the case. Just like Rupert and Jim, Christopher Roma was actually a seasoned expert hiker who had even carved out a career with his long-distance trail guide business. His achievements included completing the prestigious Triple Crown, a trio of America's most challenging cross-country trails. Born in England, Christopher moved with his family to Thornton when he was just 5 years old. He embraced the rugged outdoors, growing up skiing, snowboarding, and hiking the demanding terrain there. Tragedy struck in Christopher's life when he was involved in a severe motorcycle accident that broke his neck and ribs. His father, Hayden Roma, reflected on the incident during an interview with the Associated Press, saying, "That changed his whole life." However, the accident didn't break Christopher's spirit. After a determined recovery, Christopher threw himself into hiking with renewed vigor. He tackled and conquered the Pacific Crest Trail, which stretches from Mexico to Canada, the Continental Divide Trail, which runs the length of the Rocky Mountains, and the Appalachian Trail, which he completed in an impressive 99 days. These feats earned him recognition as a Triple Crown hiker in the hiking community. Roma had accomplished the formidable challenge of hiking all 48 of New Hampshire's 4,000-foot mountains, covering a distance of 250 miles in just over 10 days. He was known for pushing his limits, and during his last hike, he aimed to surpass his personal best. He was trying to beat a personal best, I think. He was trying to work on doing it in a certain time. He just got caught in some freak weather, his mother, Barbara Roma, explained. On what became his final hike, Christopher set out on a trail he knew well, initially accompanied by 2 others. However, as his mother recounted, his companions soon found the journey too demanding and decided to turn back. Despite the challenges in front of him, Christopher persevered and chose to continue hiking. Hiking often involves making tough decisions at critical moments, whether to push forward or to turn back. According to Barbara, Christopher was not one to easily give up or turn back. During his final hike, he faced severe whiteout conditions that made the situation dangerous. During his hike, his friends grew increasingly worried after a conversation with him over the phone. There was intense snowfall, waist deep, and he had complained of the cold. They called 911 around 10:20 p.m. to express their concerns for him. Christopher himself managed to call 911 and stayed on the line with emergency operators for a few hours, trying to get help. The call eventually dropped. This call was crucial as it allowed the authorities to pinpoint his location between Mount Bond and Mount Guyot. In response, a large team, including fish and game conservation officers and search and rescue squads, quickly assembled to launch a rescue operation. The search and rescue teams faced bleak conditions as they attempted to locate him, hindered by the extreme cold. Despite their efforts, the rescue was fraught with challenges. A New Hampshire Army National Guard helicopter crew attempted 3 separate flights to reach him on Mount Guyot. Still, each time, they were thwarted by low clouds and poor visibility, as explained by Lieutenant James Nealon from the Fish and Game Department. By the time ground crews finally reached Roma at 5 p.m., it was too late. He had already passed away. However, the helicopter was able to recover his body, which spared the team of 15 conservation officers and over 30 volunteers from having to carry his body out under challenging conditions. In a heart-wrenching revelation, Barbara disclosed that Christopher's last words during the 911 call were that he was very cold. In the aftermath of this event, a GoFundMe page was set up to support the Roma family. It quickly raised over $40,000 in donations. Grateful for the outpouring of support and the efforts of the first responders, Christopher's family issued a heartfelt thank you to everyone involved. This incident highlights the unpredictable and often perilous nature of hiking, as well as the critical role that emergency responders play in such situations. Washington's national parks are usually places where people create beautiful memories filled with adventure. However, they can also be the backdrop for mysterious and deadly events, as was the case for Karen Sykes. a 70-year-old writer and avid hiker. This sad event occurred shortly after another tragic incident had happened in the same park. In late May 2014, less than a month before Karen's death, 6 climbers attempting to reach the summit of Mount Rainier disappeared. Despite extensive search efforts, they were all presumed dead. Like the climbers, Karen Sykes also chose to explore the snowy trails of Mount Rainier National Park to research a story. Known for her insightful trail reviews, captivating photographs, and a book about hiking in Western Washington, Karen left a significant mark on the hiking world. On a cold day, with temperatures dipping as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit, she ventured with a hiking partner into the Owehigh Lakes Trail at about 5,000 feet elevation. Karen hiked ahead of her partner until they lost contact. After her partner couldn't find her after getting back down, she was declared missing. Rescue teams, both on the ground and in helicopters, tirelessly searched the area around the trail for several days. It wasn't until just before 3 p.m. on a Saturday that a ground crew found her body. While the exact details of her death remained unclear at first, it was later determined that she had died of hypothermia. Those who knew Karen Sykes shared that such a tragedy could happen to anyone, regardless of their experience. Annette Shirey, Karen's daughter from Tucson, Arizona, shared with NBC News how her mother had a profound bond with the mountains. The mountains were always a place that gave her strength and was always uplifting for her, Annette explained. The mountains were not just a backdrop for Karen's hikes. They were a source of spiritual renewal and strength. Annette poignantly added, "It helped restore her spirit and her strength. She always said that if her life was going to end, she would want it to end in the mountains. She wouldn't want it to be anywhere else." Kim Brown, a friend and fellow hiker, expressed a poignant reflection on the situation. "The mountains are big. There's a lot going on. She was extremely experienced, but experience has nothing to do with any of it." On August 6, 2015, a young boy named Jared Joseph Williams went missing while camping with his family and a group of about 20 people, 12 miles south of Jacob Lake, near the Grand Canyon. Gerald and his mom had ventured just 100 or 200 yards away from their main campsite in Kaibab National Forest when she momentarily lost sight of him. The adventurous boy had been chasing grasshoppers and unintentionally strayed too far. Initially, the group at the campsite didn't call the authorities because they believed they could quickly locate Gerald themselves. However, after 4 hours passed with no sign of him, they realized the situation was serious and contacted the police. Over 5 grueling days, more than 1,000 people came together in a massive effort to find Gerald Williams after he went missing. This extensive search covered about 21 square miles that included some high-tech help like military helicopters with night vision equipment. On the ground, teams with dogs and ATVs scoured the area, joined by many volunteers from Gerald's community in Colorado City. Tragically, it wasn't until 4:30 p.m. on the 5th day that Gerald's body was discovered by a group of volunteers from his hometown. They were driving along Forest Service Road 240 in a pickup truck when they noticed Gerald's body about 15 to 20 feet off the road. The location where Gerald was found shed some light on his final moments. He was close to the road, which would have been much easier for him to navigate compared to the dense brush surrounding it. It's believed that Gerald might have reached Forest Road 240 and followed it to Forest Road 241, moving in a direction away from his campsite. Exhausted, he likely stepped off the road into the forest to lay down and rest, and he never woke up. The autopsy report later confirmed that his death was accidental. Lawrence A. Zernecki, the medical examiner, detailed his findings in the report after examining the body of Gerald Joseph Williams. Gerald was found fully clothed without any sign of external injuries. and there was no indication of foul play at the location where he was discovered. The autopsy did note a hemorrhage on Gerald's left forehead. Forensic examiner Elizabeth Ross explained to the media that this injury was likely caused by contact with the dense brush and branches in the wooded area where he was found. This explanation was supported by Jerry Blair, a spokesman for the county sheriff, who also mentioned that the weather had worsened soon after Gerald went missing. The initial assessment by the medical examiner suggested that Gerald's death was accidental, likely a result of exposure to harsh environmental conditions. Given the severe weather and the findings at the scene, it seemed improbable that Gerald had survived the night he went missing.